This here is my 1999 Gc8 WRX. And let me tell you, the 1 year I've had this YouTube channel running, if there's one car I've looked forward to reviewing, it's this one. And you might think, you know what, Max? 20-year-old Subaru, who gives a shit? This is my Gc8 WRX. If you're a long-term viewer of this channel, you'll know how much I love this car. And just recently, I've decided I'm not going to be re-registering the car after it runs out in January, because it gets on club permit in 7 months, and after a few financial decisions in buying a house and changing careers, I've decided I'm going to let this just sit for 7 months until it's on club permit. Let's look at the only Subaru Impreza WRX release in Japan, UK and Australia. The one America missed out on, the Gc8. Now this is by no surprise to any Aussies or anyone from UK or Japan, because that's where it was released. The Gc8 is the year it was made. So it started around 1992 as a rally car, where Subaru had to make an on-road car to be registered for doing rally. Subaru actually made the WRX, Impreza WRX, because at the time they were doing rallying. And when they were doing rallying, they had to bring one out for the market, for anyone to use it, right? So that's how they released the WRX. Famous for Colin McRae's racing, this thing was an absolute rally legend. Around 1998, it got a facelift as well, which had a new front bumper, and just new exterior styling. The interior was a bit more modernised, came with an AC, electric windows, nicer seats, just how this one is. So this is the 1999 post facelift, and I think it looks great. Fog lights, glass headlights. This one I have a Japanese number plate on it because I'm a vlog. This one has hood pins because if you do track this, which I haven't, you need it for the big scoop. But other than that, that's the front end. So yeah, you can see the facelift bar. I think it looks really nice. The honeycomb grille. It's pretty straightforward. And you might be thinking, where's the intercooler? It's up there, a staple piece in the WRX. So coming up, a good way to know if a car is a Gc8 is by these vents. The Gc8 are the only ones to have these vents. I think they look really good and they're actually functional. Under this is a battery, so yeah, nothing crazy, but over there is actually the intake, and I have a pod filter. And a lot of the pod filters like you see on a Honda Civic EK, they're kind of useless and just sucking air straight off the straight off the exhaust manifold, whereas this one has a pod filter right below it. Under this huge scoop, which is off an STI one, is the intercooler, and this one has been upgraded. Nothing special. It definitely keeps the air colder. If you want to see the top 6 mods on the car, click up here or there. I don't know which side it's on. To the side of the WRX. Now this one is in the Rally Blue, World Rally Blue, the iconic colour with the gold wheels. This one has the STI spoiler, an original spoiler, and I think it looks immaculate. It kind of gives 22B vibes, the only 2-door STI. But yeah, this rear end I think looks really class. Get that initial D vibes with the sticker of the WRX. This was actually a sticker for weight saving, can you believe it? And speaking of weight saving, this car only weighs 1,200 kilos. Mix that with the factory 208 kilowatt producing flat 4. This car was a very fast car from factory. After the tasteful mods that have been done, including suspension, bigger brakes, more aggressive brakes I should say, high flow turbo, 260 kilowatts at 1,200 kilos is absolutely weaponry. I absolutely love this sticker as well. I think it looks really cool. Mix this with the Canon muffler. It sounds great, feels great. There's not much drone and it's not obnoxious either. It has a really good note. This does have unequal headers as well, so it has that really nice rumble. Mix that with the open pod filter, a blow-off valve. It just has that typical WRX noise. I absolutely love it. Just as a general look at this car though, while we're here, you can see these gold wheels. They are 17-inch with Subaru brakes on them. These ones are slotted and they are red from factory. Another funny styling feature you see is these doors are completely frameless. I think that looks absolutely cool. And this is obviously based on an Impreza, so I think as a budget car, which this was, I think it's really cool to see these things. But you know, this was based on Impreza, but it is an absolute far cry in terms of styling from what that Impreza was. The Impreza looks like my Mazda 323. This WRX may share every panel, but the body kit just completely sets it off. And for the right price of $15,000 I paid almost 3 years ago, it was an absolute investment, and you never see cars like this. And I swear the amount of heads this car turns is absolutely crazy. Just because of the sound, colour, gold wheels, and the fact people just don't see them. Go take your Impreza out. The only reason you're turning heads is because of the amount of the oil burning, which is quite ironic, but we'll get into that later. Alright, in the interior of the Impreza WRX. Now, like I said, this was obviously based on an Impreza, but Except for the very basics, this shares absolutely nothing from an Impreza. From the seats, the carpet, the steering wheel, everything is its own taste, and I love it. This interior just meets simplicity with practicality in the best way possible. And that's a fact for a lot of these late 90s, early 2000s cars. Especially from Japan, the interior is basically just simple. And it's great because this car, as much as it's my weekend warrior, I absolutely love it. And if you had to daily this, you could so easily. And it has all the modern luxuries I like. Electric windows, electric mirrors, an AC, a functional radio. This one has an aftermarket radio from the early 2000s, and I love it. It makes these cool little screen movements. I'll show you. I love it. You know, it's very fitting for this car. But it's just easy to daily drive it. This guy dailies something very similar to it in an EK Civic, and all the Japanese interiors are quite similar. Moving to as far as driving is concerned, this has a Momo steering wheel and a Momo shift knob, both factory as well. So you don't actually see any Subaru badges in the interior at all. You have no idea. But other than that, it's very simple. Like, it's just really driver focused, which I like. You have the fog light switches here. There's a rear fog light, manual handbrake. This does have meth injection as well. So I've got my meth controller down here. And then obviously you have your electric mirrors, space everywhere. And then if you come down the center area, you've got your AC, super basic, super easy. Below that is your radio. It's just super basic. This has aftermarket gauges, a very common mod for this car, and something you probably do want, especially if you're pushing a bit more than factory boost. Other than that, you look at the gauge cluster, it's got your typical fuel, engine temperature, your speed, which goes up to 260 k's, which it will get to. And this one revs to 7,000, but you can easily push it to 8,000 every day of the week. This one is fitted with an STI block as well. They redline at 8,200 from factory. A little quirk of this car on the side here has a sticker which basically tells you to let the engine idle for a minute after heavy driving, which I think is funny. Just let the oil get around the turbo and everything so you don't create hot spots. But these cars are made to flog, and I love it for that reason. Other than that, you got these seats which hug me really well. I'm a 65 kilo, 5'9" man, and they fit me perfectly. I couldn't imagine a fat cunt would fit in this very well. But in Japan, there's not many fat people there, so it's not really catered to you. So if you're relatively skinny, these seats are great. And it's got this like kind of blue accent on them with the red, and I just love them. They age great, they feel great. It's something you wouldn't need to replace, and you know, I absolutely love them. I love this interior. It's so cozy, so everything's just there. There's no dicking around, there's no Apple iPad screen to open your glove box or whatever. It's simple, it makes great noises, it's practical. I absolutely love this car. Absolutely love it. Okay, coming into the back. This seat is for me. I'm a 5'9" male, and this is adjusted for me. As you can see, plenty of room, heaps of headroom, and just heaps of room in general. You can technically fit 5 people, but it will be a bit tight. You have to really like the person here. But as far as that, like, it's fairly comfortable back here. The seats are made out of the same material. And this is actually a very, very small sedan. Like, it might seem maybe a bit bigger than what it is on camera, but these are very small. And you know, for you to have this much space back here, you could fit 4 people very, very comfortably. You have plenty of room, and you're totally sweet. Like, I really like this interior. You know, it's pretty boring back here. Like, you don't have anything going on. There's no air vents or anything to charge your phone or whatever. There's no ashtray or nothing, but you know, you got an electric window, a grab handle here. That's really it, but what else do you need? All right, the EJ20, the flat 4 turbo. EJ20, even if you're not really into cars, if there's one engine code you may know, it's EJ20. Just because the sheer volume of cars that came with this engine from the Impreza line, all the way from 1992 up until 2021, they all had the EJ20. If it was a 2.5, it was an EJ25. If it was a Liberty, it had the EJ20, EJ25. The Foresters had EJ25s or EJ20s. EJ20 Turbo, you know, they're all the same. Very popular engine. Subaru stuck with it for years, and they're a great motor. This one in particular has a 2.07, it's a 2.1 litre, so it's still called an EJ20, but it's a flat 4 out of the STI of the same year. So forged pistons, this one has a drop-in cam, it's got the 5-speed manual still, and it's such a good engine. It made 200 kilowatts from factory, 276 horsepower, and the reason it has 276 horsepower is because of the gentleman's agreement. Anyone into Japanese cars will know exactly what that is. Basically, Toyota, Subaru, all the big name brands of Japan making cars came together and said, okay, we're going to make it so all our cars have 276 horsepower. Because in the late 90s, a huge issue in Japan was street racing. All these street racing cars, even like from Mitsubishi, everything like that, were street racing. So they agreed to only have 276 horsepower, or 200 kilowatts it is. This one's no different. Having the intercooler at the top, it's a staple part of the flat 4, and I think it looks great. You know, once you start getting to about 300 kilowatts, it's worth putting to the front, but this has 260 kilowatts and is totally fine. And these EJ20s are cheap. You can get one, a crate engine, brand new STI block for $3,000, and they're fairly reliable for what they are if you are safe with them, because a lot of people push these and they throw bearings. If you look after these will go for quite a while. Maybe not as long as your conventional 6-cylinder inline 4, but they're still really healthy. In particular with this engine though, obviously I have the pod filter right above the intake, the hood hole. STA strut bar, you got your small turbo, blow-off valve, you know, all the usual stuff, and I just love the way this sounds. It's a really healthy engine. It's got the oil catch can as well, just everything you need. Really simple, really easy motor. A bit hard to work on. You have to drop the engine to do spark plugs, but that's in the nature of having a flat 4. Being a flat 4 though, it handles really good because it's a low center of gravity. It's a really even, balanced motor. So it runs really well, handles amazing. Have enough talking and let's go drive it, because that's the best part of this car. That's why people buy them, the drive. Let's go give it a drive. Okay, driving the WRX. Don't mind at night time. No traffic, that means. And let's just hear the note. Let's hear that blow-off valve action. Oh, that's good. That's the note that people love. That with the exhaust note. Oh, sounds good. This car's just so easy to drive. Oh, I love it. Anyway, yeah, so the WRX, you know, I love this car. Obviously, it's my weekend joy. I've had it for a few years, so I've learned to drive it pretty well. And like, handles great. Get on it a bit. Just sounds immaculate. The blow-off valve and the exhaust. Double clutch it. Easy to get in trouble in this car. Easy to get in trouble. You feel like a bit of a boss driving a thing like this. You got the massive wing in the back mirror. At the front, you got the hood scoop. You got the gauges, fog lights, green dashboard. I love it. Coming up to a red light now. Just the downshift. Hearing that rumble. So easy to drive this car, hard and daily. Like, you know, it loves a good thrashing. The more you hammer it, it like, you know, some V8s you go hard, it feels like it doesn't want to go hard. This car loves it. Let's just hear the note. Oh, second gear, halfway through the revs. That's it, otherwise you're losing your license. It's got really good ratios in the gears as well. Like I'm doing about 60 Ks now at 1600 RPM in fourth. And in fifth, if you're doing 100 Ks now, you're sitting just above 2000 RPM, maybe 2300, which is really good for a 4-cylinder as well. Like, you know, that's why it gets really good fuel economy for that reason. Like I do about 7 litres, you know, just on the freeway, and then it's as bad as you make it when you're flogging it like any turbo car. But when you're just driving it relatively normally like this, you know, you get 1,000 litres to the tank. It's a 65 litre tank. You'll easily get 1,000 litres, you know, 1,000 kilometres I should say. Right? It's as bad as you make it. It's just as simple as that. But like, you're just listening to that, you know, EJ20. You get the pops. Just such a smooth engine. The pops, the bangs, the intake. Flat 4, you know, it's just a really well balanced engine. You know, I've had no issues with this engine at all, and I'm pushing well above factory boost. And you know, I've had it for almost 3 years now. I think I did some rocker cover gaskets and that's it. And that was like $70 to replace, you know. I haven't even done spark plugs because, to be honest, I can't be bothered. And I don't think it needs it. Like, bit of first gear. Just sounds absolutely immaculate. Gives me no issues going through the tunnel here. And there's that noise. I'm really glad I have aggressive brake pads in this car because you need them. Like, you don't need upgraded brakes. You can run your factory calipers, but you know, pads is what you want because like it's such a light car. It's 1200 kilos. You don't need upgraded calipers, and you know, as long as you have something that can handle the heat a bit, you know, you should be fine. Such a lightweight car. You know, they're Ford Falcons. They're like 2-ton vehicles. You know, that's when you need your upgraded brakes. But these Jap cars, like, it's pretty chill. You're only stopping from at max 120 k's an hour, 110 I should say. You know. But yeah, I love this car. It's one of these cars that, like, modifying it really helps and rewards the driver experience, where I find a lot of cars nowadays, you modify it, kind of ruins their experience. Because, like, say you put coilovers in it, for example, you put this really stiff spring and shock and, like, spend 2-3 grand, and then, like, you know, it's mint as for the track, but if you ever go on the track, and then around town, like, Melbourne roads are shit house, and like most roads are, and like you give up all your driving experience for it. Whereas this has KYB shocks and springs, and it absolutely eats up the road, stiff around corners, you know. It just rewards good mods. You just need mods to make the engine healthy. You know, upgrade intercooler, bigger radiator, blow off valve, you know, stuff like that. That's where you want to put your money. It saves it. So that's what I love about a car like this. Like, you can drive it normally like I am right now. This one has cruise control, you know. Or you can have a bit of fun and flog it, and you're not spending crazy amount of money on fuel, and like, it's no drama really, you know. Nothing really goes wrong. If anything goes wrong, it's a soup. It's all good. Like, I just love it, you know. If you're stuck in traffic, or like you're cruising on the freeway, or I'm cruising at 12 in the morning right now, and there's absolutely no traffic on the road really. And like, you can just sit in the high RPM and just kick back. The only thing is, it's really easy to lose your license in a car like this, but so are most cars these days, you know. Like, seriously, first gear, if you're in a 60 zone, first gear you won't lose your license, but you get a fine. Second gear, you're going to lose your license, you know. But like, you know, you don't need to push it. Like, it's such a snappy small turbo. It loves the low RPM. Like, 3 to 4 is just money in this car. That's when you get the noises, that induction, the exhaust, the pops and bangs. You know, this thing redlines at 8,000, but after 6, you're not pulling that much harder, you know. And at that point, you're just like risking braking stuff. It's not worth it. Anyway, guys, this is going to do it for this video. Like I said, I've been meaning to this video for a while. Unfortunately, the reality is these WRX videos don't perform very well on this YouTube channel compared to the Fam one. So, you know, the Fam one's my new daily, and, you know, lucky for you if you're a Fam one fan, because I have a hell of a lot of plans for that car. You know, I'm not going to spoil them, but I have a hell of a lot of plans coming up for that thing. And this thing's being parked up for 7 months, you know. Might not seem like that long, but yeah, 7 months, and on club permit she goes. I'll make a video on that. I've got a few things I want to do to this car after it's on club permit. But yeah, until then, you know, we'll see what this YouTube channel's doing. Maybe if it takes off, I'll you know, get it re-registered. But for now, you know, I don't make a single dollar off this YouTube channel at all. None. And I've been doing it for a year now, still make no money, and I'm doing cars, something very expensive to be into. So like the video, subscribe, you know, goes a long way, and maybe one day I'll earn some money off this, and every dollar I make in this will just be going straight back into the channel. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is my Gc8 WRX.